Hey, what's up everyone? Brad Chmielewski here with episode 133 of Shatter the Vain. Man, update 2.0 is getting released on Wednesday, December 14th, and it's going to be a big update. A lot of changes are coming, a new hero, 4 new items, balance changes, as well as a new map, and man, that minion miner / crystal miner change is going to be massive. It's going to make for a big change in Vainglory, and I cannot wait to see how all of us deal with it and just what we're going to do. The game is just going to totally be different this week, and I couldn't be more excited moving forward with the game and the podcast. But this week, I am joined by 2 guys from VG Miner. VG Miner is a site where you can upload a picture of your end screen and it will read it and give you stats on your match over the course of many matches. So if you've uploaded all that day or all that week or month, you'll start to be able to see trends and ideas that maybe you're not so good on Vox, but you're a really good Ringo. And I have these guys joining me because Super Evil Megacorp announced a new API that they have coming out, hopefully along with Vainglory 2.0 and pushing it moving forward too. So it's going to be a huge change for VG Miner, and the site and what these guys are building is really cool, really exciting, something that I know is going to make a big impact in the game in the long run and how many of us play it. I know when I was playing League of Legends, I went to many of the sites to see like what my stats were, my ranking, and just gave me a better idea of how I was doing and which heroes I was maybe not so great on. So we talk about that. We talk about these new changes. It's a fun episode, so we should get into it. But I want to mention a couple things before we get into it. Gotta mention that Vainglory app. I think they're gonna also do some really cool stuff with this API coming. They're always kicking out stuff for the pro stats and things like that. If they can pull in things from the Evil 8 matches and Vis matches and all that stuff, it should be really exciting for what they kick out. So check that out, Vainglory app. You can get on your phone. It's a companion app for Vainglory. And then I got to mention the Patreon page. That's at Shatter the Vain. That's at patreon.com/Shatter the Vain. I think I messed that up on almost every episode. But got to thank the Patreons this past month. We got Nicholas, Enrem, another Nicholas, PJ, and Christopher. You guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting the podcast on Patreon. And then thank you everyone else for listening as well. If you can't support the show, that's all right, but really helps me out, makes the show better, pushes it forward. Hopefully we can do more stuff if we get some more backers as well. And maybe I'll start doing some other things as well with it. Need to change up the rewards and do some fun stuff. So check that out. Like I said, patreon.com/Shatter the Vain. All right, here we go. Let's get into episode 133.
Shatter the Vain, a podcast about Vainglory.
This is the 133rd episode of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and this is a podcast all about Vainglory. Every week, breaking down the news, gameplay, game tips, and hopefully we can all become better players together. And every week, bringing on new people that love the game, just love the community, and just supporting Vainglory. And this week is no exception. I have a couple of the guys on from VG Miner. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, bro.
So if you guys want to introduce yourself and let people know who you are, I know we're missing a person here.
Yes. All right. So I am Nullpint3r. I'm the lead developer for VG Miner. And just so you know, the people that you're mentioning that are missing are GP King, who is at a Bucks game right now.
Okay. All right.
As well as our new developer, Binary Solo, who is ironically also from Chicago. What about you, Protocol?
Oh, so yeah, my name is Protocol. I am project manager on VG Miner. I'm from Chicago, and yeah, I love Vainglory. I love the community.
Very cool. I know we'll probably cover some of the same stuff that was maybe talked about on the Alternating Current with T-Dog. So if you listen to that, there may be some overlap for anyone who's checking this out.
So much has changed since then.
For sure, yeah. We'll get into the API stuff here in a little bit, but I'd love to first let people know what VG Miner is and maybe why they should be using it or like checking it out at least.
Sure. So VG Miner is a Vainglory statistics site that we launched about probably 5-6 weeks ago now. It's amazing how much time has passed. But the general idea is we were tracking our own stats by hand, and even what was available out there in the community at the time was still a lot of like manual data entry, and we were trying to think a way, hey, how do we get away from that? Because it's painful, and honestly, the more painful it is to do it, the less people will do it. You know what I mean? So
exactly, yeah.
Almost even for us, we generated this. So the whole idea of VG Miner is you take a screenshot of the end of game match summary. So it's the one that says victory or defeat at the top. And then you upload it straight from your phone or your tablet, or you could even do it from your computer. And our software will read everything there, pull it in, grab all the statistics, and that's all you have to do. So that's what VG Miner is for now.
Very cool. And you guys are pretty into the stats. I know Hearthstone has a fairly useful one. Were you guys inspired by that at all? Because they have one that runs on the desktop, and then I think you manually enter it too if you're playing on your mobile device.
Well, that's a great idea. Actually, we looked at League, we looked at Dota, but I don't think we did any research on Hearthstone. So we definitely have to check those guys out. But it actually all started just between Nullpint3r, myself, and GP Keen. So we're all on, we have our own Vainglory Team Vision, which we do a little bit of streaming of on Twitch. Nice. So you might see one of us on there. We do a shared account. So whenever you see it streaming, it's under the Team Vision name. But we started keeping tracks on our wins and losses on a whiteboard at work. So all three of us work together as well, which makes it really convenient. So we show up half an hour early to work. We play a ranked match. During lunch, we play another ranked match, and then after work, we play another ranked. So we do 3 matches a day, and we started using the whiteboard to track the wins and losses. That turned into having our intern put it into a spreadsheet, which turned into analyzing the spreadsheet using Microsoft Power BI, which turned into Nullpint3r saying, "Hey, you know what? I bet I can write an app that does this," and the rest is history.
That's pretty awesome. That's that you guys were able to also put that together. I know the reading of the OCR stuff is probably the hardest part, right? Like
yes,
having someone enter it in manually and just spitting out stats it's complicated, but not as hard as like here's an image, read it.
And honestly, we won't miss that at all. I think most of the problems and support type stuff we have right now is all around text and image recognition, because when we first, were using it, we were using it on our own devices, which were fairly high resolution. And, we weren't thinking, hey, this is best case scenario. And so, we started having people use it that had older, 2-3-year-old devices that weren't even HD. And so the text is super grainy. Even the images are very pixelated, and it wouldn't work. So getting it to work for those, or at least mostly work, because honestly, we couldn't get it 100% on those. But even getting it 80% was quite the task.
Mm-hmm. So how's it been since the launch? Have you seen, I know a lot of buzz, a lot of people are using it. I hear people talking about it. So how's the response been?
The response has been absolutely insane. We went from 5 Twitter followers, which probably was just a couple of coworkers of ours, to we just hit the 500 mark. So nice. Our social media exploded. I remember when there was just 5 VG miners. So on VG Miner, if you go to the global stats all the way at the bottom, it gives you a count of how many people are actually not only signed up for an account, but somebody who's actually uploaded a match into VG Miner. And that count was at 5. Due to the fact that we had a couple Smurfs accounts in there too. So we went from 5, and I'm actually not sure where we're at right now. I think it's over 500, 800.
Oh man, I think total registered accounts is somewhere it's over 1,600. I haven't looked in a little while, but it's up there.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
So it's blown up in the last few weeks.
That's cool. So I guess taking a step back from where you are guys now, like how'd you get into Vainglory? How'd you come across this? You said you looked at League a little bit, so were you playing League beforehand?
I'll let Nullpint3r take this one.
Oh boy. So it all started actually from a conversation that I had with Protocol about Dota. At the time, there was the international going on, and it was such a big hype event. There's so many people and such large purses, and we're like, man, what in the world is this? Like, how do we check this out? And it's a free game. What? It's a free game. So we checked it out, played a little bit, but honestly, after a week or two, we were like, you know what? These hour-long games sitting at the computer ain't gonna happen because we both have families. I mean, it's just it's fun, but that's too bad. So it kind of tapered off, and we were sad. But then that's when the Apple keynote came on with Tommy Kroll with the scarf.
Yes.
And I mean, as soon as we saw it, we said, "Oh, when is this thing launching?" Because we're in. Because it was right there. It's mobile. It's accessible. It's super easy to play. It's shorter. I mean, everything is perfect. And we knew we could do that. And I mean, we downloaded it the day it launched, and the rest is history.
It's pretty awesome. And it's pretty cool that you guys have 3 people playing, because each one of you can play a role. Do you mix it up at all, or do each of you play a role, roam or carry every game?
Oh, I'm the roamer. I don't I have to keep these 2 alive, If it wasn't for me, they'd be dying all over the place. I got to keep them alive. But Nullpint3r and GP King sometimes switch back and forth. But I would say GP King's the laner and Nullpint3r is the jungler. But it goes back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. I've been laning a little more lately. I'm not gonna say I'm good, but but it's fun.
I'm just the farm stealer.
Yeah.
Hey, so what's pretty ironic on that question that Brad asked was, if we were playing Dota, we'd probably be spending less time than we are right now with Vainglory because of all the community involvement.
That's true.
So how ironic is that? We stopped playing Dota because it was too time consuming, and we're playing Vainglory and we're like all in the community. We're spending every minute of free time doing something for the game. That's kind of crazy.
I think that's happened with me with League of Legends. I was like, man, these games are too long. I can play like 1 or 2 a night, and then I really should go to bed. And now I'm playing like 5 or 6 Vainglory matches, and I'm tweeting and talking to people, and it's like, oh, now I'm up later than I even was beforehand. That's just, what did I get myself into? But maybe it just shows how good I think the game and the community is, because everyone's kind of wanting to uplift each other and move it forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Well, we got some fun new stuff that also reflects maybe where VG Miner is going, so I'd love to just jump right into that.
Vainglory News.
Oh, I'll lead it off then. Okay. So I'm assuming you're talking about the API announcement, which just happened last week at Worlds, and that was a huge announcement. We got a little hint that it was coming right before that, and I mean, we knew right away. Oh, this changes everything for VG Miner, because all of the screenshot processing and text recognition and all that stuff is definitely going out the window. And now, not only, I mean, we knew it would happen eventually, so we built it kind of with that in mind. Oh. But because of the amount of data that's going to be available that we don't currently have now, it still changes quite a bit in terms of the data that we present to the users. So, whereas before we had all the kind of typical stats, win, loss, KDA, CS, gold, and all that sort of thing, now we should have more. Everything from build data, which I know a ton of people want, to, stats around how many Krakens were taken. And it's all, it's still in the development now. And some of this stuff probably won't be available right away, but there is a ton that is available to be exposed. So we are super excited. And there's a lot of people in the community that are excited as well, doing their own thing with stats, whether it's a stats website maybe it's team centric, or maybe they're dialing into a really specific piece of it. Maybe they're build specific or whatever. And so just having that data available is really exciting it's really going to change the way that all of us, consume content and understand what people are doing, what's the meta doing. Now it's not really guessing anymore. You can go look, so it's awesome.
Even as the site stands now, like, people are uploading this, but I've seen people or heard people say, like, I upload my wins more than I do your losses, because that's just, you're mad and you're I just got to go get a game in. Like, I don't want to tell anyone what happened here. So
it's true. Yeah,
I've
noticed that.
Last week's podcast, he was saying that he was uploading his wins more than his losses, and you know what? I do the same thing.
It's true. It's just when you're coming down off of the frustration of a tough game or whatever, you just don't remember to take a screenshot.
Exit. I don't want to look at this.
Thumbs down. I'm out.
And that's
go ahead.
That's one of the great things about the API is that there's no more forgetting to take a screenshot, and there's no more I'm only going to upload my wins and not my losses. And now we can verify next time GP King says, dude, I ran a 17-2 scarf yesterday. I can go, you know what? Let me look.
Oh, man.
So I know Owens, he's an analyst for Gangstars. He posted a little blog post. I'm almost just testing the API, right? This is way above me. This already goes past me. So is this like a test, or just kind of showing what he, I think, found out that you can do with it right now?
Yeah, I read that actually. It was a really good write-up, because most people hear API and they're not developers, and they say, what is that API? What? Yeah. So, just for the people that aren't developers out there, all that is application programmers interface. Hope I'm remembering that right. But the general idea is it's just exposing a service that's available on the web for anyone with access to call and get whatever data it's going to provide. So obviously in this case with SEMC, it's Vainglory data. Once you connect with the devs of this API and they give you access, or it's usually in the form of what they call an API key, but it's really almost like a password, right? You're saying who you are. You literally can just send a request over HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. We're getting nerdy. And and it will send you a response, and then it's your job to do whatever you want with it. So it's nice and generic. It gives people a lot of opportunity to do a lot of different things.
All right, let me explain that from a non-developer's perspective. You see, Nullpint3r is a developer, so sometimes when he talks, these words, they seem normal to him. And I'm listening, and I'm like, what? So my background is not in development, which is why I'm the project manager. But, a lot of the people in the Vainglory community, they're not going to directly benefit from the API in the sense of, Joe Schmo is going to get a API key from Vainglory, and then he's going to sit there on his computer and write code and make these HTTP calls back and forth between, his computer and the Vainglory API. The normal everyday community member is going to rely on websites that are doing that, because if I wanted to, as a normal user of Vainglory, normal player, I wouldn't be able to take advantage of the API that Vainglory is putting out. I would rely on sites like VG Miner and other stat sites to do that work. And all I want to see is the charts and the graphs and the actual, numbers presented to me in a way that I can consume. So before that wasn't available, we had to manually write down stats or, upload screenshots to pull that data. Now we have access to all of the data that Vainglory has via this API.
Mm-hmm. Them adding an API, is this something, or your thoughts, did they have this already in there and now they're finally opening it up, or is Vainglory 2.0 almost like a complete rewrite that would allow this to happen? How much would have to change for them to add this, and why didn't they do it beforehand?
If I had to guess, I think they've always had the data. I just doubt that they had the time to do the work that it takes to actually provide that to the public. Even now, I mean, it's not ready yet, right? They're still in the development phase. So I think it's honestly a lot of work. And if you can imagine, there is just a ton of data out there. I mean, millions of matches. And so, you know, being able to provide the service in a way where it's scalable and it can handle who knows how much kind of volume coming at it is going to be a headache on their side. But I know they've got the right people on it from what I've seen. So
having this opened up, would this also not only give us stats on plays and all that, would we be able to see like how many matches and finally get maybe some real numbers that we haven't been told from Super Evil Megacorp? Like, is it going to be able to be like, oh, right now, you know, 2,000 people are playing Vainglory?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Have you thought of that protocol?
That's actually a good question to see when they release the API. I'm assuming they're going to release some of the essential data up front, and then they're going to continuously develop it and release more and more access to data as they move along. You know, this is their data. This is big deal here, you know, not just scalability, but we're talking about security here. You know, we live in the wild west when it comes to the internet. You know, you have to secure your data. So, and they don't want to release a product too that's not going to work. So there's a lot of testing. So they're gonna do it, I'm guessing, in iterations. They're gonna release some data, and then they're gonna further release more and more and more until the point where you know, they feel comfortable with the amount of data that they have out there. So if they're gonna release data revolving, or you know, involving how many matches were played that day, obviously we're gonna take advantage of it, and we're gonna be able to present that on VG Miner for you guys.
Sure. I think just having the numbers, or like true numbers of like, this is the win rate of these heroes, will be huge for, I think, people that are ranking, because they can say such and such hero is, you know, the highest win rate, but without the numbers and seeing that, you'd be like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Right, like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you know, Kestro's OP right now." Well, according to VG Miner, she's, you know, only got a 40% win rate. So it you know, looking at the numbers and kind of the matches, you can only make assumptions based on the matches that you're playing, based on the matches that you're watching on stream. But now you can make those assumptions based on all the data that Vainglory has.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't hurt some of the heroes too, knowing that, like, oh, you see that Ozo is like a 30% win rate, and then no one it like pushes them into the ground even more. Like, no one's gonna be like, well, I can't play him.
I'll bet that happens though, because you remember a few patches ago when Playoff Beard mentioned that Petal had the highest win rate. I don't know what, you know, slice of data that was in, if it was only certain tiers, but you know, we'll be able to see that now, because I think there probably have been times where that was the case, but nobody knew it. And now we'll be able to find out. But also at the same time, we'll be able to see the opposite, like you said, where, you know, Oz only has a 30% win rate or 20% or who knows what. And not only does that, like, you know, that, whoa, I need to stay clear, but also, you know, this is data that I think SCMC has had all along. So they know, hey, we've got balance issues with this one hero or whatever, you know.
SMC always been good. They've always been good about doing the balance changes and trying to even out the heroes as much as they can. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if this 2.0 release for Vainglory and the API being released at the same time is a coincidence. You know, with the 2.0 update and the new items that they have, and just the gameplay is completely different with the, you know, the shop spawning at the 4-minute mark, the crystal miner, you know, overhaul. The meta is going to be all over the place, so we don't know what's going to happen with these heroes. You know, it's you know, Ozo's going to be OP. We don't know. You know, it's going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a good transition into 2.0.
Right.
Yeah, we got the we don't have patch notes yet, or update notes, which probably they usually come out the day after I put this out, always, because the update is on December 14th. But we do know a lot, and people in the PBE are now allowed to stream it, and everyone's allowed to show it off and talk about what's in it. I know we have a lot of new items. What do you guys think of these new items? We have the Poison Shiv, the Slumbering Husk, the Echo.
Echo, everyone's favorite.
Everybody's thinking about Echo. My thought on Echo is, and I've been reading a little bit about this too on the forums out there and stuff, but
yeah,
the thing about Echo it sounds, super OP initially, just because you can, instantly reset a skill is effectively what it is. So everybody's thinking of double jewel ults and all kinds of craziness, but it's such an expensive item that you're inherently decreasing your damage by buying it, is my thought. So, and that's what I've seen around on the web a lot. So the idea is that it's probably going to be most effective on utility heroes. Yep. So especially, whatever, Catherine with 2 silences, stuff like that, where it doesn't hurt them as much because they're not building damage anyway. But the utility in their kit is what, all the gameplay revolves around for them. So that's what I'm thinking. What about you, Protocol?
I mean, I think that's the main objective of the 4 new items is the utility, and just the gameplay is going to be so much different. It's going to be a lot harder to pull off these items. Somebody can probably take a hero who has a 30% win rate and just completely dominate every match they have because they have the skill that it takes to use the items correctly. So, and a lot of it's going to be because of these new items. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, I think, the Echo... I think it's going to be fun. We're going to see it everywhere next week. And everyone's going to be
for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Catherine and Arden are probably going to be the best people for it. Get down a gauntlet, and then if you have to reposition, you get down another one. And then you throw in the no wave gauntlet on there to silence the other enemy support items. Like that's going to be key. Like, yeah, Catherine will just be silencing everyone nonstop.
What I like about that is that these new items bring an element of making plays. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a new item. It's all right, what can you do with this? And there's probably some ridiculous stuff that we're going to see, like in the live finals. And when you get this type of thing in the hands of a pro, they're going to show us all, here's how it's really used.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there one that you think is better than any other ones? One that you think's gonna climb to the top? Like Poison Shiv seems the most useful, I think, that we'll actually see.
Like we said, we're gonna see Echo a lot up front, and then I think it's gonna taper off real quick once they realize how expensive it is to get it. and Poison Shiv will probably take its place at the top.
Yeah, and I wonder sometimes about Slumbering Husk, and like if I'm playing a really squishy, let's say laner, and they build a crazy bursty, I don't know if it's a Taka or whatever, and they keep just melting me, you know what I mean? Do you make the decision, all right, that's their game plan, I'm going to go with that because it helps with that, really bursty counter that's coming against you? But I just don't know if that's going to work with the price, so it's going to be interesting to see how that balances out.
Right. Sure. Well, yeah, Slumbering Husk is just a nice item because if you are the carry, you can't have 2 reflex blocks. You can have an Aegis and then a Crucible, but you'd be better off with that Slumbering Husk because you don't have to worry about it. You're getting dove, and hopefully it could save you. It's almost like having an extra support there to like activate this for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be glass cannons with a Slumbering Husk instead of glass cannons with the reflex block.
That's true. Yeah, we'll probably see more of that.
I'm going to try that. I hope you save me.
Yeah.
And then the other big change is this Minion Miner / Crystal Miner, it's going to be called now, which I think will make things a little more clear and not mix up the Minion Miner with the Gold Miner. Crystal Miner, you see him working on those crystals, makes sense. Having him on your team and walk out with you is kind of cool, and I think is a needed change for this.
I think the main change of the Crystal Miner is going to be the perks that you get when you kill the Crystal Miner. Now, I don't know if I read these notes correctly, but you get a bunch of like added armor and added attack and up to 4 stacks. And I think you have to be like around the Crystal Miner when he dies. I don't know how long the stacks last. Is it throughout the rest of the game? So that's going to be really interesting. Is going to be the perks that you get when you kill the Crystal Miner. And plus, I heard he hits like a truck. So there's going to be a lot of team fights that are going to be happening in strategic spots on the map now because of this Crystal Miner change.
Right, because he's on your team, and if you try to take him on the opposite team, like it's going to be a battle. And then with the rise of minion candies, if you can Minion Candy, the new Crystal Miner. He's
Ooh.
gonna hurt.
Have you heard? Can you do that?
Probably. I haven't tested that,
Oh.
but it would make sense. You can
like,
wow.
you can
Free.
Minion Candy him now.
Man, Minion Candy him, throw a gauntlet down so nobody can get away, and there you go.
Just let him take care of it. Sit back and watch.
Exactly.
The Crystal Miner does 30% damage on the Kraken as well. Do you know, Brad? Does the Crystal Miner walk all the way over to the Kraken when you're taking him? Does he go that far?
Oh, that I haven't seen. I don't think he roams that far.
That would be well. I'm just not sure why they put the stat that he does 30% damage to Kraken. Somehow that Crystal Miner can make it all the way to the Kraken pit. I don't know. Maybe if you pull him like towards your tri-bush,
Glaive knock him back.
I've seen competitions where, like, people to try to get them as close to your base as you can. And I saw, this was a few patches ago, but I saw someone pull them all the way into the base. I don't know how they got them that far, but that's got to be what it is.
Yeah, I haven't played enough on the PB to mess around with what the new Crystal Miner does, but yeah, it's gonna change up that jungle fights a little bit. Like just the danger of him being in there. You're not gonna see Takas and Glaives going in there as often to try to steal farm.
Yeah, I really like the changes that they've made from a balance perspective, right? Because it seems like they're trying to prevent all of the, early pre-5-minute snowballing where, basically the outcome is already determined that early in the match unless you can somehow turn it around and get to late game, but it's really hard. So this kind of makes it where, all right, you lose an early game fight, you're not necessarily done,
Right. Yeah, and not having the change to the jungle shop without the potions, like we're not going to see fights last as long down there because there's many times where you're just like, I need a quick potion, let me Taka, Kashka, heal up a little bit. I'm coming back in. Let's do this.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do without that. That's good. That's weird. Like, even when you're in the lane, think about how many times you just run down there, go grab, an item and maybe 4 or 5 and you head back up and that's it, but now not anymore.
Yeah, but I wonder if I would like to see, I'm surprised this never really took off, was the jungle duo giving the treant in the middle to the laner to come like heal, almost like the buff, like, hey, I'm low, just top me off, I don't want to go home and miss farm. So maybe we'll see that.
That's a good idea. I think that's gonna happen because they can no longer buy pots, and I think even the pots that you buy at base, you can only carry 3 of them at the most, if I read that correctly.
Yeah. So
yeah, the laner is gonna be he's gonna have to come up with some strategies to just try to stay healthy. Maybe we'll see a lot more Lyra and Adagios and like healing comps because of less pots.
Probably, yeah, because the game it's kind of being set up when 2.0 gets dropped to be these longer games. We were talking earlier about we stopped playing these other games because they lasted 45 minutes, an hour. I think Vainglory may creep into that 25, 30-minute mark now because these snowbally team fights aren't going to happen and you're not going to be able to quickly win the game with one Kraken push.
Yep.
Back to the irony.
So I would start practicing those late game heroes like Celeste and Cruel and Scarf, just the ones that continually to scale up and just start to wreck the team. Rhyme.
Yep.
Very cool. So get ready for update 2.0 dropping soon, and with it comes a new hero, Idris. Have you guys seen him? I know I've seen a few videos get posted. We have the reveal of the splash art and his abilities. I have not really played him yet.
Yeah, I played him one. I don't even have a really good feel as to whether he's more jungle or lane. Because the one time I didn't know what I was doing, and I was looking for that I apologize ping, where you can keep saying your teammate, I'm sorry, I'm just picking items right now, I don't know what I'm doing. So, but it's interesting. So it's like he's kind of like a hybrid because it's a melee, but he has his B skill, I think it was that's ranged. You know what I mean? So it's kind of both. And then the movement, which reminds me a lot of Vox's dash, but I think if I remember right, if you max the movement on A, it's instant. I want to say that's true, but Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see that in the hands of the really good players and how they can, take advantage of that with a mobile hero. That always seems to be something in demand. So.
Right. So yeah, quickly go over his abilities here. The divergent paths. That's kind of his heroic perk, where we're saying he's a hybrid, because this is the first time we're seeing a hero do more stuff based off of a weapon or crystal. Like we have heroes like Kestrel, who damage has increased one way or the other, but having that option, like, do we need a melee on our team or do we need a ranged, and you go crystal, is very interesting.
Yeah, I like it.
I really like his B ability because it's like the crawl from Hell's Heart, but it's up all the time. And I really love the way that kind of shoots out and you can take off in the opposite direction and just attack everybody on the map. I think it's a really good skill shot.
Yeah, so it throws out this like chakram.
Yeah.
And it throws it out, and then wherever you go, it'll come back to you. So that's very handy to set up some fun movements.
Let's be real. It's a ninja star. Come on. That's what I think.
And then his A is Shroud Step. So he dashes to a target's location, dealing amplified damage to the next target he attacks within seconds. If he has not taken damage within the last few seconds, Shroud Step grants a barrier as well. So this is kind of his ability to kind of just get in those fights. I know a lot of melee heroes, they have this barrier or the fortified health, so they can kind of stay there because you're in trouble when you jump in.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I know, you think Blackfeather has a barrier. A lot of different heroes have fortified health at certain times. So, and I remember even Vox used to have one, but they took it out, right? Because as a balance thing. So it makes me wonder, is this something that's going to stay? Is this one of those things where players catch on and find out, hey, if you engage in this way so that you use your A right away, you get a barrier or whatever, it's really effective and it becomes too OP or whatever. I mean, from what I've seen, and it's not very much, it doesn't feel like that, but it does seem like if you're smart and you use it correctly, it can definitely be a boost.
Yeah. His ultimate, the Shimmer Strike, is probably the most confusing to see. Like, I think you have to play this or play against it to understand what it is. Idris launches onto a targeted hero, becoming invulnerable, then leaps off in the chosen direction, damaging surrounding enemies. So you choose someone, you jump to them, and then you jump off and you like do this burst damage to them. All right. I guess that makes sense. It's just very confusing to see.
I actually haven't seen it in PBE, so I don't really know what it looks like.
He
but it's kind of cool.
buries underground or something, it looks like. It's strange to look at.
They need to make one of those slow-mo videos on it.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, honestly, I've only played them twice, and the two times I did, I would hit 6 and be like, all right, you've got it. Now what? So
Yeah.
I would hit it and I'd be like, okay, I'm like, over now, what do I do? So that's another one where I think we're going to see people discover the way. I mean, I can see where, let's say you're kind of in the back line and you have someone on the front, you could use it as a gap closer to get back to the fight and then, disengage from whoever. Let's say you were on an ally and then you use that to get off. And I think, right. Isn't the range longer or something if you're on an ally? I can't remember. Something like that.
The distance increases if he's crystal.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting. But I really like that, these heroes are not anything like what we've seen before. You know what I mean? Like it's something totally different. And the way that, these new kits interact with all the existing one changes the meta. You know what I mean? Because if something like that comes out and it's strong, then everybody has to start countering it. And next thing you know, some hero that we haven't been playing is the guy to go to. So it's pretty awesome.
I think he's classified as an assassin. So
yeah.
He has those annoying abilities that just have him jumping all over the place that just make you go nuts if you're playing someone like Ringo that all I can do is run real fast. I got nothing else.
Like Taka, everybody like Taka's been like banner picked forever. Like no one wants to deal with Taka because he's so annoying. Damn assassins.
Yeah, so he might fall in that same group, but yeah, I don't know. We see all the heroes kind of they say he's assassin. You know, they said Lyra was a roamer, and she was played in lane for the first month she was in the game. So.
Yeah, it's just like Lance, same thing, right? He was purportedly a roamer, and then he was Mr. Jungle for like an entire patch.
Right. Yeah, it's fun that way. Like they have the direction they want to go, and then the players in the community are like, no, this person's a carry. We got him.
Yeah, all you have to do is watch Von C stream, and then you find out that it's really a weapon rhyme. It's weapon rhyme. Nobody knew it.
So very cool. I can't wait to start playing him and figuring him out. He's not really my play style, so I don't know if I'm gonna like fall in love with him right away. He's cool, and I like the idea of him, but there's just some heroes that don't click with me when I see them, and just like, that's neat, but not my thing.
It'll be fun to play in BR because I only roam, so there goes that.
You don't even get to play him.
I don't even get to play him.
What about Rome Idris? Huh? I mean,
yeah, right.
I don't know. Man. If you pick it, I'm dodging.
You can blink in there and get off an Atlas before they can get away.
Yeah, there you go. See what?
Work out.
Here we go.
Make it a thing.
Gonna happen.
Well, speaking of Von C, I know Worlds is over, but did you guys watch any of this? We know Phoenix Armada won, but TSM put up a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
Are you guys esports fans? Do you watch it? Or
I was up all night watching it, so okay. I think it finished at a little bit past midnight around the finals. Yeah, I actually watched every single match except day 2. I might have missed like 2 matches in there. My son was going nuts, but besides that, I watched every single match. The final day, how intense was that? Oh man, good matches.
It was awesome. And we actually, if you check the VG Miner Twitter account, you'll see that at our workplace we had a 70-inch TV set up in our corner with Worlds on. So all the people in the other departments were walking over going, what are you guys doing? And then we would show them and we'd be all excited, be like, you don't understand, this is Worlds, it's amazing. And they would kind of shake their head and walk away.
Our nerd points went through the roof. The entire company,
a lot of nerd points.
They're like, only the IT department does this. What are you guys doing?
we did have one guy pull up a chair, sit down, and watch it and pretend like he was rooting on certain teams and pretend like he knew what they were talking about the whole time.
Okay.
So it was awesome. It was super fun. Yeah, we've been pretty into the whole esports scene since even when it was the ESL, and this is way back when, before draft was out there. And in order to play ESL, you had to have EU accounts, and we would watch. I remember there was a collab team that had like Shinkaigen and I want to say maybe Fuji. I don't know. There was
Old School.
Yeah, and we would watch all of those. That was back when I want to say it was Don John and Blueberries that would do all the casting.
Yes, Don John.
Glory days, man. We just love it. We would just sit there, be working, and have an iPad or something on the side, watching all the matches. So we've always been into that. It's really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. So you guys were probably rooting for an NA team to win it. Was it TSM there? Like going for it? You thought they had it?
I was personally rooting for Gangstars. I was hoping that they would pull it off. And
I'll after the first day, so the group stage, you knew right away that Invincible Armada or Phoenix Armada looked pretty strong. And honestly, Hammers looked pretty strong too, because they demolished their first match that was on the stream. But the further it got, once you got to the semis and Gangstars played against Armada, and I don't know, Armada just looks like they're playing at another level right now. I don't know. Yeah. Like they seem like they're always on the same page. Like it reminds me of matches that I'm in where somehow every time I'm in the jungle, all 3 of the other teams members rotate, and it's like 3v2. And I'm like, how does this happen every time? but that's what it looked like. All of their engages were spot on. I mean, they were all positioned right. They got a lot of, imbalanced matchups like 3v2s and stuff like that, cashing people out. And it's like, I don't know, they were impressive for sure.
A lot of that TSM match against Phoenix Armada, the first two, was it the first two or three? I think it was the first two matches where they picked Lance on both of those matches.
Right.
And then finally TSM started banning Lance, and they won a couple. I mean, I'm not gonna say that the roamer was the deciding factor there, but the roamer, man,
Here we go.
It's all about the roamer. If you want to know the ins and outs of a match, watch the roamer, because that's where the magic happens. Right?
Hey, it's true though. Like before that match, I'd never heard of Willie, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Armada's roamer, if I remember right, in all of the other VIPLs where we saw them was a different roamer. I don't remember Willie, but this guy was like instant name for himself. I mean, he was making play after play.
You do hear a lot about the roamers overall, like Willie, Flash X,
Yep.
Racked. Like the names, they pop up more often. Like the carries, you call the Meek, the Enzio, all those people do great. But for some reason, the roamers, like they get a lot of credit.
And they should, right?
I agree.
Well, they're usually the captain. They're usually the ones making the call, which
Yep.
one of those changes in 2.0. So it makes sense. Like they're kind of leading the team. They're kind of, we need to be here. And I think Willie did such a good job, just like making sure his team knew where they needed to go and setting up those fights correctly.
Yeah, well, you think about all those times that I was talking about where they ended up seeming like they were just in the right place. That was somebody was making a call. I don't know if like Drew had pushed the lane and then they did it on purpose, rotated down because they knew timing wise in terms of the other team's rotation that would be a perfect spot for a quick 3v2. I don't know. All I know is it looked like they were just spot on the whole time.
Yeah. And over the weekend, we saw the rise of the minion candy, and it's kind of trickled into normal games a little bit. And I think it works really well in the competitive scene with your team, but in solo queue, it seems so silly.
Well, the whole idea, right, is where you can get a little bit of an early push and go help with an early rotation. At least that's my take on it. And the few times that I've done it, when I was laning, I didn't even clear fast enough to rotate down. So it was like, well, that was a waste of 50.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I get the idea, but I also need your laner or yourself need to come down where you're like, you guys got this. And you don't come down, and it's like you messed it all up.
Yeah, there's a level of communication that's needed in order to pull off. And not just with the candy. I mean, there's a number of things and strategies that you can incorporate into the game that you really can't do unless you have a 3-man communication channel.
Flicker.
Yeah, Flicker. That's a huge one. It's so hard to coordinate anything with Flicker if there's no audio communication there, because you don't know what's going to happen or what he was trying to intend, or maybe you attack by accident because you didn't realize you were invisible.
I can't tell you. It's like I'll be trying to invent this weird ping strategy where they know what I'm like I'll ping myself, all right, or the the little gather around ping, whatever that's called. And, to indicate I'm about to use my, I'm Flicker, what we do, right? All right, we're going to go in. And you hit it, and then they go hit a minion or something. You're like, oh,
wait,
what are we doing? I should have just picked Rome Taka or something.
But so that last game of Worlds where TSM picked Ozo, that seemed like a very bold pick, and Phoenix Armada just kind of punished them for it. And it was probably I think maybe the saddest game to watch, and probably the worst game to be like the finals, where you're just like, well, that was over in 9 minutes?
Yeah.
I think it was 8.5 minutes. It was really fast, and I applauded them too, because they had just picked the pedal the match before that, and I was like, oh man, pedal OP, this is gonna be great. And when they picked the Ozo with I think it was with the Lyra, right? So they had like a heal on the Ozo. I was like, man, this is actually really good. Now, I'm not sure if a lot of people, practice against an Ozo. No one thought that an Ozo would make it to Worlds, let alone the finals. I thought it was a good idea at the time, and then about 3 minutes into the match, I was like, that was a bad idea.
Well, so FlashX said on his stream, there's a video, I should grab this link, that they picked Ozo because on the tournament server there was a bug where he couldn't be stunned in his 3-ring bounce or something like that. So it was kind of a cheeky pick trying to exploit that. So
Didn't work out too well.
And then you lose in 8 minutes. Yeah, Armada is just like Nullpointer said earlier. They're playing at another level, man. That was insane. Their gameplay is insane.
So yeah, big congratulations to them. I'm interested to see what Team Phoenix does moving forward, because the new rules coming in 2017, where you can only have one team per organization. You got to keep the world champions, right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. I was telling Protocol just the other day, that's interesting. So you have Korea is known for their esports, and you got to have a ton of esports organizations over there. But the Korean team that wins the Worlds is from a US based, basically grassroots, organization, right? They're not in any other esports that I know of. So that was really interesting. But yeah, you've got to think they're gonna hang on to Phoenix Armada. I mean, where do you go from there?
Unless you sell them to somebody unless Closet Nerd and Team Phoenix sells them to someone else, and then who knows? I don't know all the strategies there.
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting with all of the changes that they're doing with the guild and the team selection in the game, and I think the biggest change is the franchise program that they have. I'm sure that franchise program is going to end up shaping the community in one shape, form, or another. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes in 2017 revolving around how the community is going to organize itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the franchise changes, I think we'll see like Fnatic and Team Liquid and some of these other people come in, because if Super Evil is providing capital to an organization, there's almost no reason, if you're an established organization, to be like, let's do this. This costs me very little because I'm making some money guaranteed.
Yeah, those first 8 spots, I can't wait till they announce who wins those first 8 spots, because it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, dumb for doing it too. Like profit sharing. Like, come on, that's insane. That's going to be awesome.
Right. Sure. Well, that does it for all the news, but I got a little forum static before we wrap up here.
Forum static.
So on the forums, I found a little topic about just saying if Vainglory and League of Legends should team up and do something. And I thought this was kind of an interesting idea. I don't think this would ever happen, because that doesn't usually work out too well. And Riot Games has Mobile Legends, or they don't have. Tencent has Mobile Legends, but
spin-off.
It was kind of an interesting idea, and it could be kind of nice, because we've seen Double Lift, we've seen TSM now promoting Vainglory on their subreddit, and more of those pros on the TSM teams kind of being like, oh, what is this game? I should check this out. And it could be a good way to get some of the people into the game.
Yeah, that's and I saw that as well when I think Double Lift was streaming for a little while there, trying it out. Think about the number of people that regularly watch him that now are exposed. So that's pretty cool. As far as merging those two, I don't know, because my impression and what I've heard from a lot of people that came from that world is that one of the big positive points it draws for Vainglory is the positive community, right? Where a lot of other communities have a kind of a toxic, environment. Even friends of mine that I've talked to, they're like, oh yeah, it's horrible. Like people will just beat you down. So I really love, the positivity that you see, and I don't want that going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I like having streamers like Shinkaigen when he was streaming a lot, super positive. Something bad happens, he's putting a good spin on it. There's not all of this, hey, you didn't get exactly 10 CS per minute in lane, you're the worst, I hope you never play again.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any of that. So
no, well, yeah, it helps with no chat. Well, we have the outside chat, but the in-game chat we don't get too much, besides those people that are rage pinging or something like that. But I know, they're all like, they all have to be friends and talk because they're in a very same space. It would be neat if they did some sort of like little shout out that maybe some League of Legends players might be like, oh, that's cool. They got like a Poro thing or something, like just a little like nod to each other. That could be kind of fun to put together.
I'm curious if we get. I mean, it would make sense that some Dota and League players would come over to the Vainglory. You know, they can just say, you know what, I can get my mobile fix, you know, while I'm at the airport, or you know, like in between classes or something like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, holy smokes, this game is awesome. And then they just come on over, just leave all the negativity over there.
I think the biggest reason you don't see a lot of those players, or the complaint is sometimes is the 5v5 or 4v4, like the 3v3 map. People are like, this can't be taken serious. And I think it was on a recent video Rumbly put out. He thinks they might see a 4v4 this coming year.
Really?
There's a new game mode coming out. I mean, maybe you can see like a 4v4 in some type of mini game, like a battle royale type of game where they incorporate a 4v4. But I don't know. You think the rank matches would ever change from kind of the 3v3?
I don't think the devices can handle it.
Yeah.
The particle system in Vainglory is crazy detailed, and you could have a brand new device and it will still have visual lag sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at some of the older devices that are supported. I mean, that was when we were doing text recognition in OCR, I would get a screenshot. Anytime a new device that we didn't support would be used, it would email me right away. Okay. And I'd go look at the screenshot and say, okay, I got to add support for this. And some of these, I'm like, how are they playing? Like, your thumbs have to be covering the whole screen. Is this like an Apple Watch? I mean, like, how are we doing this? But yeah. So, I mean, the fact that it works as well on some of the older devices is really amazing. I mean, that's props to SCMC for that. But yeah, to your point, I mean, once you add 4v4, that's two more heroes. That's almost half again as much going on in a team fight. So that might be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this forum post is interesting. Most of the people, I think, don't want to see it happen. It's on a Vainglory forum, so they're like, Vainglory is the best. We don't need League of Legends. But it's a couple interesting things in here. And if you're interested to add anything or any thoughts, like there's a link in the show notes, so check that out. Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode. This was great.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
So what's coming up for VG Minor? What's besides the API changes that you're probably waiting to see what happens? Anything else in the works? Are you guys gonna stick to mainly the player base? Sorry, and not go into like competitive side? Are we gonna start to see special stats for that? Like, what do we got? What do we got coming?
Man, we got okay. So besides us creating a new user interface and launching VG Minor 2.0 to take advantage of the API, there's some big things happening in 2017 concerning VG Minor and kind of where we're trying to position ourselves in the community. But we can't say anything yet, so we have to wait and let that develop. But and it's so close. It's so close to being.
You're killing me. I want to know what it is now.
There's going to be a huge VG Minor announcement, I would say, within the next few weeks at the most.
Now you're really...
It's going to be... It's pretty intense.
Yeah. And I will add to the original question, too. Where we were when the API was announced, we were it was definitely kind of in its infancy. I mean, I had a lot of ideas that we had discussed that we wanted to implement, but we kind of put the brakes on them because we knew... we didn't want to spend any time other than doing the API because we wanted to be ready for that. But I think it's just the amount of data that's going to be coming out there. And then I think not only just us, but other people are going to look at this and say, what can we do with this that's never been done? What can we do with this that people haven't thought of? And, what could we even do with this that isn't being done in other esports or other games? I think Protocol mentioned one of the things that got us going was we were almost looking at it from a business intelligence perspective, just because of the work we do outside. And, I think there's something to be said for that, where we can take all of this data, because data is data, right? It doesn't matter if it's a game, it doesn't matter if it's a business, financial data, whatever. And there have been a ton of advancements in the business world to take a lot of data and analyze it and pick things out. And so how can we take that same, kind of mindset and apply it to this sort of data and give users tools that they don't have today? So that's kind of the stuff that we're trying to wrap our heads around and put that stuff out there.
The useful thing, I think, I know a lot of people on videos that I put out ask, like, how do you choose a hero that, like, into the ranked matches? Giving people the ability to see, like, well, you have a Kestrel and a Jewel on your team, maybe, and you're up against this, maybe you want one of these supports or something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know the counters. They don't know, like, how to synergize with their teammates and things like that. But all that data, like you're saying, it's going to be there.
There's no more hiding it.
Well, great. Well, where can people, I guess, find you guys, and then VG Miners on Twitter and the website, all that stuff? Like, do you guys have separate Twitters? And then the Twitch stream, right?
Yeah. So we're on Twitch every once in a great while as Team Vision. Once we launched VG Miner, we kind of put the brakes on streaming a little bit, because we're all our free time has been going to developing the website. But mainly just check out vgminer.com. Come check it out. Just see what the screenshots look like. Create an account. Be prepared for when it launches. You already have your account there, and we're ready to rock and roll. Also, you can find us on Twitter. That's where we do most of our communications, and we do have a pretty cool Discord server where we do a lot of communication, run by MOBA.
Yep.
So you can find us on Discord too. It's like that little weird hyperlink. I don't
yes,
even know what
it's discord.me/VGMiner.
There you go.
There we go.
I'll put links in the show notes here on the website, so everyone should check that out. Right, cool.
Yeah, give us your feedback, man. We'd love to hear from you guys. We've already incorporated a lot of changes and a lot of feature releases based on feedback from the community, and that's one of our strongest things that we stick to, is that VG Miner is an app created by the community for the community. So if you want to see something on VG Miner, once 2.0 comes out, we're definitely open to suggestions. We want to hear what you guys are saying, what you want to see.
Exciting. Cool.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for 133. Shatter the Vain is on Twitter @Shatter the Vain. Website shatterthevain.com. All the episodes are posted there. iTunes, the YouTube version as well. That'll do it. I'll be back with episode 134, probably running down more changes in update 2.0. It's going to be a big week. Exciting times coming for Vainglory in 2017 and VG Miner. So get ready for that. Take care.
Let's get this over with.